Alrighty, well, this kind of ruins everything for me, but the game is officially in maintenance, ladies and gentlemen. Once the maintenance is over, then yeah, the 1.5 year anniversary officially begin, because upon the maintenance being complete, like an hour or two later, somewhere around there of course, or maybe 3 hours later, the Gojo banner will be available. The awakened Gojo, the honored one, the god Gojo, call it what you will. The man will be available. The free multis will be a thing. Again, 1.5 year anniversary will officially kick off. Now, with all that being said, it does beg the question, because if you think about it, in terms of all the Gojos that we have, every single Gojo we have has some form of coverage with every single element. This is going to be the first time where we'll have multiple Gojos available within a singular element, being the green typing, of course. Now, if there's something that we know about the green Gojo, is that that mother trucker is a nuker, an absolute beast of a character in terms of just decimating the enemy, right? Still one of the best, clearly, hands down, and it kind of begs the question on where does it all, where do we stand? You know, what happens to this Gojo? Is he usable? Does he lose his value? What is the situation? Well, the situation is, in terms of, does he lose his value? No. There is a specific role that this Gojo plays. Now, ultimately, the newest Gojo that's going to be coming will be the more favored and catered to, purely because there's no stipulation at play for turn, to where, you know, in 7 turns or 9 turns he disappears. No, he's on the field, he's got those buffing that's going on, he's got the counter attacking mechanic, he does a ridiculous amount of damage, he can buff himself up by going into the awakened form, going and collecting those core cubes, and ultimately at the end result he is doing an absolute insane amount of damage, right? Because it's all just kind of strengthening himself up. And then obviously, in terms of nuking, single target nuker, of course, if you can build everything up with this Gojo. But again, we'll know more upon the release of that character. But what we've seen, this man is looking absolutely insane. Now, with all that being said, this Gojo still holds value. It won't be the end of the world. Depending on the situation, if we need to utilize, let's say, a nuking tactic within, I don't know, 4 or 5 turns, this is where this Gojo will still have its usage and its role being played well. Because, let's be real, this green Gojo, you kind of dupe him out for free. Well, I mean, he's been out for a long time now. I'm curious on whether or not if he'll get some form of buffing. That would be pretty dope to see. But he is still valid. This green Gojo, to this day right now, with all the newest piece of content that JP has, soon to drop on global, when it comes to having that green DPS, this green Gojo Loki is holding it down. Now obviously, Fushigoto is a new addition, Mekamaru is a new addition, they've kind of, they have Loki have kind of come into the main DPS spotlight, more so over Gojo. However, with the right setup, with the right build up, this Gojo, you can do a AoE nuke. So that's the one thing which this Gojo still has, is that he has that AoE nuke if you're able to get the correct buff. Now, to be fair, with the newest, with the newest characters dropping within the standard pool, being the old man right here, Geto is also in the mix, because there are certain characters that are required for you to actually maximize, so that way you can do the most in terms of the output of damage, you know. And on top of that, I think the final character of the team setup is the Red Yaga, of course. So there are certain characters that are required in order to maximize the Gojo in terms of that AoE nuking. But it is still valid, it is still doable, as long as your team has that survivability, because again, like I said, 4 or 5 turns is mainly what is mostly required for you to kind of pop off the nuke, then you'll be fine. So obviously, yes, in a way, the newest Gojo is going to be coming in and kind of rechanging things in terms of the green team However, if you have the right team, if you have the right setup, and if you have RNG on your side, and if you build up the correct buffs and whatnot, then depending on the fight that you're in, you can still utilize the nuking strategy that comes with this green Gojo in the span of, well, in this case we have to say less than 7 turns, because within 7 turns this man pretty much disappears. So yeah, the value from this unit just doesn't disappear purely because of what he's designed for, what the strategic route that we're going to be using him for, and that is short turns, AoE nuking, and if you have the right setup, like I said, even with the more difficult and newer stages that have been added recently onto JP, this Gojo is still handling business. So, but with that being said, obviously there's a lot more breathing room with the newest edition of the other green Gojo to come. So, because again, there's no rush, there's no panic mode to be like, okay, we need to set this up, we need to apply all these amount of buffs, these amount of turns. There's a lot more breathing room to be like, alright, we can take our time, we can build things up, Gojo can do his thing, and obviously the end result from that will always be a disgusting amount of damage. So, but again, we'll have to wait and see what more can be done with the newest edition of Gojo coming along. But I just kind of wanted to also mention that with this green Gojo, some might say, oh no, he's getting like overwritten with the newest Gojo, and that is far from the case. This unit isn't going anywhere purely because of the role and how he's designed. He's always going to be that AoE nuker. It's always going to be that alternative play if you choose to go for it. That being said, if the newest Gojo is pretty much insane in the membrane, then I mean, yeah, I think I might just commit to that over the HP Gojo. I'm just putting it out there, but I'm just letting you guys know. Yeah, this doesn't kill this HP Gojo. This HP Gojo will always have that AoE nuking that you can always resort to. But again, it just comes down to that team setup. Now, going over now the total team setup, yeah, green is going to be getting a huge overhaul, because I was looking at all the typing and I'm just like, damn, yeah, green really is kind of holding back, because if you look at red, you know, you've got your, well, I mean, to be fair, you've got the best support in the game. That kind of says a lot. You've got ult chasing, you've got fantastic DPS, you've got debuffers right there, so, and you've got another, one of the best DPS in the game, of course, for another fantastic free-to-play support. You know, the whole red team as creating a mono team, you've got everything that you need to make yourself one hell of a great red team. Same for blue. I mean, you've got your main DPSs. I mean, the newest additions are just fantastic. You know, you've got those support roles coming in here on how they can help you out to increase more damage. There's that Ghetto, of course, fantastic debuffer. So once again, when it comes to building a blue mono, spot on, exactly what we need. Yellow might be the, well, no, I was gonna say yellow might be the best. I mean, to be fair, yellow Loki is just, you got support, you got DPSs out the wazoo, you got damage boosters, of course. Once again, yellow is looking clean. Cursed energy regenerator, obviously not really taking into consideration the res and the SRs and whatnot. So in the lower rarity side of things, it's, you know, you've got the Yuki. Red, you've got the Yaga in the market, of course. So again, looking at the lower rarity, these typing have that additional play right there. And then of course you look at green and just like, damn, there's not really much going on, because like in the green side of it, DPS, tank, DPS, bit of a specialist type, but main DPS, support, tank, DPS, support, DPS, but I'll say more for DPS, tank, DPS. Yeah, no, it was great on developers' end to be like, you know what, I think green needs that little bit more. And so with the addition of Team Shoko as well as the Gojo coming in, I think that is heavily needed. Well, yeah, no, I would say that with their addition, it does help out a lot in terms of creating a pretty successful mono green. Because at that given moment, I mean, you're going to add the trio. That's just a given at that point. But if I wanted to maximize and actually make a full green mono, If I had the Fushiguro, that'd be very, very nice, I will say, but it's not in. Yeah, unfortunately not. To be fair, I think Mahito might be in one of the slots, and then outside of that, I would actually go and utilize the other buffers. I think that's pretty much what I would go for, to be fair. If I had to grab myself a green mono. But yeah, that's kind of how things are looking. So green definitely needed this. Comparing it to looking at every other typing with what we can build mono team wise, green was, yeah, in the lost, especially in the support side of things, to be fair. So happy about that. But again, briefly just kind of wanted to go over the Gojos themselves. So the AoE nuking is still going to be valid for this man. In time to come, I assume that this Gojo will also get some form of buffing, and maybe some SP unlocking, who knows, in the future. Definitely need it, well, will need it, should I say, yeah, as time goes on. But as of right now, he still holds value of being a fantastic nuking setup character. And I don't think that's going to go anywhere anytime soon. But I think for the most part, outside of that, there will be a hard replacement to say that the newest Gojo will be funded more so. But again, just to clarify, that AoE nuking with short turns, that is still valid, and that's the value for this character. And that's kind of, unfortunately, that's kind of where it stops.